Happy hour at Walters is from 4 to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. $5 specials on draft beers, house wine, and rail cocktails. Walters is located just across the street from the ballpark.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Outfield shades him a bit the other way to left. The third baseman, Karros, well off the line. There goes Lyle. The pitch is hit in the air to deep right center field. Back heads the right fielder, Johnson. That is out of here. Into the home bullpen. CJ Abrams goes deep, a 2-run shot. Make it 6-3 Nationals.
The 1-0. Breaking ball popped up. This should do it. On the left side. Curtis Mead is under it, calling for it. Mead makes the catch, and the Nationals win it 7-3. Tom Cosgrove has his first save of the year, his second big league save. He records the final 6 outs on a total of 10 pitches. One of the most efficient pitching relief performances in Nationals history. The Nationals bang out 3 home runs. Riley Cornelio, the native of Colorado Springs, has his first big league win, and the Nationals celebrate a win going back over the 500 mark, 51-50, a 7-3 final here in Denver.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. I'm joined by Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He is at Coors Field in Denver. We, on this installment of the podcast, will watch where we step. Kyle Freeland, you need not worry. And please don't hurt us, but we're going to be very careful with where we step. The Nats on Monday night were not so considerate of the feelings of Kyle Freeland. A 7-3 win at the Colorado Rockies on Monday night in Game 1 of a 3-game series. The Nats now are 3-1 on their 6-game trip out west. The Nats, in their 3 wins on this road trip, have totaled 35 runs. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by the nonprofit Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. Tired of paying $4 for a gallon of gas? CCAN Action Fund is raffling 3 amazing electric cars, including a Rivian SUV, as part of an annual fundraiser to fight for clean air in the DMV. The drawing is on July 30th, almost here. Tickets at evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org. You look at the Nats and Rockies in MLB's 2026 regular season. The Nats now are back above 500, 51-50, run differential plus 19. The Rockies now are a National League worst 40-62. with an NL worst run differential of minus 94. And what we have in this series is the team in the Nats that is number 1 in MLB in most runs scored, 552, playing at the team in the Rockies that is dead last in MLB in fewest runs allowed, 581. So it was not exactly shocking that the Nats offense on Monday night did well. What was surprising was that the Nats relief pitching on Monday night was really good. 3 Nats relievers combined for 4 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings. Given the nature of the bullpen, given the ballpark, the hitter's heaven that is Coors Field, Mark, that was something. 3 Nats relievers combining for 4 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings in this game.
Yeah, I don't want to shortchange what the lineup did because obviously you score 7 runs, you hit 3 home runs. That's great. But we've seen that from this group time and again this year. And when they do it at this ballpark, nothing about that felt out of the ordinary to me. I think the story of the game was the bullpen. With Andrew Alvarez shaky and being pulled in the 5th inning, you're asking now some very unheralded relievers to come in what was a close game, 3-3 at the time, and then it was 4-3 for a while, and they were perfect. And I know this team doesn't have an A bullpen, but we're not talking about the guys we usually think of as the top guys you want in high leverage spots. It's Riley Cornelio, Matt Krook, and Tom Cosgrove combining for 4 2/3 hitless innings at Coors Field to protect the lead and secure a win for the team. That, to me, is the number one storyline of this game because I don't know that anybody really went into this thinking that was going to happen from that group.
Yeah, the Nats do not have an A and a B bullpen. The Nats have a Y and a Z bullpen, but the relievers who pitched in this game were quite good. Riley Cornelio, 1 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings. Now, He had no strikeouts versus 2 walks and throwing just 15 strikes versus 14 balls. So he was not dominant, but he still tossed 1 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings, including inducing a significant double play, a 5-4-3 double play on a grounder by the Rockies cleanup batter Hunter Goodman to end the bottom of the 5th with the game tied at 3. Matt Krook tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th on just 8 pitches, and Tom Cosgrove tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th and a perfect bottom of the 9th for the save, and he tossed the 2 perfect innings on just 10 pitches. So, it's interesting when you look at what the relievers did here. 1 strikeout over 4 2/3 scoreless and hitless innings, the 2 walks that were issued by Cornelio, but extreme efficiency from Cook and Cosgrove. They combined for 3 perfect innings on a total of 18 pitches. 18 pitches usually is what you get from a Nats reliever in 1 inning, if you're lucky. In this game, 3 perfect innings from Cook and Cosgrove on a total of just 18 pitches. That was remarkable.
I was going to say, we've seen plenty of innings from this bullpen that have required 20, 25, 30, 35 pitches to get through them. The fact that these guys came out here and just pounded strikes and got quick outs like that, remarkable. Now, maybe there's a little bit on the Rockies hitters for not showing a little bit of patience. As you saw the way this was developing, they were just going after the first pitch all the time. But it's a credit to both Krook and Cosgrove that they were not messing around, going right after them. My favorite stat of the night might be Cosgrove faces 6 batters, throws 10 total pitches. Every single one of them was a sweeper. That's all that he threw, nothing else. And obviously effective with it. I think it was 7 strikes and 3 balls. You got something that works, stick with it until they prove otherwise. And that's how you get a 2-inning, 10-pitch save, first of the season for him and second of his career. I don't want to read too much into one game, but what those 3 guys did, and especially those 2 at the end, I do think it's a reminder that, okay, let's not just judge everybody off their first performance. I know Matt Krook's first one was really bad. I know Cosgrove has done a pretty good job so far, but we don't necessarily know a track record or anything. Maybe there's something there. Give them a little bit of time and let's see what they can do. And in this case, they were flawless.
We are down to 61 games left for the Nats in this regular season. We are now inside of 2 weeks until the 2026 MLB trade deadline, which is on Monday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Nobody is asking for this Nats bullpen to be dominant. That would be great, but I mean, we're all realistic here. Can the bullpen just be decent? Can the bullpen just be passable? That's all that this team needs in order to make a run to the postseason. And what we got on Monday night is maybe a tease, or maybe it is a sign of, hey, this bullpen is capable of at least being halfway decent down the stretch. We shall see.
This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by our friends at the Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund, one of the best nonprofits fighting for a greener environment in the DMV. They're back with their 8th annual electric vehicle raffle for the planet, with all proceeds going to help their fight for cleaner air and a healthier Chesapeake Bay. The drawing is approaching on July 30th, and tickets are going fast. And with gas prices soaring, it's never been a better time to win an electric car. Here are 3 reasons you should visit the website evraffle.org and grab a raffle ticket today. Again, evraffle.org. Number 1, the prize options are amazing. First prize winner will choose their own luxury Rivian, Lucid, or Porsche EV worth up to $115,000. Second place will choose between the Rivian R2, Volkswagen ID Buzz, or a Hyundai Ioniq 5. And the third prize winner gets the amazing Chevy Bolt. Reason number 2, each ticket gets you 3 chances to win an EV, which means your odds are incredible. Tickets are just $200 and a limited number will be sold. They even cover taxes and fees on the prizes. And reason number 3, CCA and Action Fund funds for affordable clean energy nationwide. You can win a brand new EV and support a cleaner world. 3 lucky people are going to win, and you could be one of them. Get your ticket today at www.evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org, or check out the link in today's show notes.
kicking the pitch. Swing a long drive, left field for Chaparro. Back to left fielder McCarthy to the wall, and there it goes. 3 batters in, the Nationals lead it 3-0. Andres Chaparro with home run number 4. 3 on this trip since the All-Star break. A bolt of lightning early here from Chaparro. The Nationals' quick strike offense puts 3 on the board right away.
The offense has been a lot better than decent. The offense has been elite, and the offense on Monday night again did well. 7 runs, 12 hits, which were 3 homers, a triple, a double, and 7 singles, 2 walks. The Nats did go just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, so that run total of 7 could have been even higher. But 3 homers for the Nats, all of them tape measure shots at Coors Field. CJ Abrams as the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, 1 for 5 with a 2-run homer. Abrams in the Nats 2-run 7th, a 2-out, 2-run homer to right field to put the Nats up 6-3. That homer went a projected 420 feet per Statcast, so his terrific season continues. 22 home runs, an OPS of 871. Andres Chaparro, an eventful night for him. He is the Nats starting DH and number 3 batter, went 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer, raising his OPS now at the major league level this season to 792. Chaparro in the Nats 3-run first, had a first pitch 3-run homer to left field for a 3-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 427 feet per Statcast. So Chaparro, as he did in Game 1 of the series win at the Athletics over the weekend, doing well in Game 1 of this series at the Rockies. Also with Andres Chaparro in this game. Top of the 5th, he had a line out for the first out. And as he was jogging off the field from the right side of the infield to the third base dugout, he went across like the very top of the pitcher's mound in terms of the portion of the mound closest to second base. And he did this for maybe 1 step. It's hard to judge if you're watching the game on TV. I don't know if you saw this better than we did, but, it was like he barely touched the mound, at least from what I saw.
As he advances Mead to third with that deep fly. The 5th inning of Nationals baseball is now something Chaparro and Freeland get into it, and the benches are going to empty. So Chaparro on his way back to the dugout had a little meeting with Freeland, and Freeland took exception. Chaparro's walking back to the dugout. The bullpens are coming out from right field and right center. So far, there's nothing more than just talking as the benches have emptied, but the Nationals are already going back to their bench.
And him touching the mound sure seemed to be inadvertent. But this bothered the Rockies starting pitcher Kyle Freeland, so much so that we had an incident causing benches and bullpens to empty. Now, no punches were thrown, and things did calm down quickly. But man, this whole thing was so dumb and so needless and so pointless. I don't know that I've ever seen something as ridiculous as what we saw here from Kyle Freeland.
When it was over, my thought was, thank God that didn't actually turn into some kind of real fight or brawl that cost anybody anything, because if it had, it would have been the absolute dumbest reason ever for there to be a brawl. From my vantage point, Chaparro hits a fly ball to center field. He's, running the play out because you don't know what's going to happen. He's about halfway between first and second when the ball is caught. And from there, he turns and he ran a straight line from where he was to the Nats dugout on the third base side. And it took him just to the side of the mound. Like you said, maybe a step on the dirt, but barely on it. It was so clearly that he was just jogging straight there with no intent behind it all. I got to believe that Kyle Freeland was letting some other frustrations out. This guy's in his 10th season pitching for the Rockies. Never pitched for anywhere else in his career. He's a hometown kid, so I know that's why he was motivated to be here. He's got a 7 ERA on a team that's going nowhere in the final year of his contract. He is the Rockies' Patrick Corbin, okay? I can only imagine how frustrating this has all been for him. He gives up a 3-run homer early in the game. I guess something got to him in that moment. There was no need for it. And the sight of the bullpens emptying especially, so ridiculous. Again, I'm glad nothing came of it. Chaparro tried to be very polite afterwards. He said he just doesn't really have anything to add to it. I think he didn't want to dignify it, to be honest. And thankfully, everybody else kind of understood this is not worth getting upset over. Let's go our separate ways and play out the rest of this game, because that was silly beyond any point of there being any reason behind it.
It's a shame that this game was the final game of the 5-game suspension of Miles Michaelis, because the Nats could have used him during that scuffle to maybe wrestle one of the Rockies players down, as was the case in the incident at the Boston Red Sox. You know, the other thing, too, with Freeland that I noticed in this game, he was like exasperated off each home run that he gave up. If you look at his facial expression after each homer, if you look at his body language after each homer, he really did this like sort of woe is me thing. He also seemed to be like, oh, here we go again, like that kind of a thing. So, yeah, I mean, he clearly is frustrated with the season that he's having. And, that doesn't excuse what he did here to Chaparro. My understanding with Chaparro, and you know him better than I do, but is that he's a pretty mild-mannered person. Like, he's not someone who seeks out conflict. And so that made this even more ridiculous, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. Now, having said that, if there was any kind of real physical altercation, Andres Chaparro is one of the last guys I'd want to get into one with. He is built for tussling, let's just say. I've never seen him have to be in that spot other than a little bit in Boston that night, but I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. He is mild-mannered. He does not try to stir up anything. He doesn't, celebrate home runs or anything on the field. Honestly, for him, the biggest thing from this game, hitting that home run, he had a bunch of family here. People don't know this. He's from Venezuela, but he actually lives in all places in Utah and has a lot of his family there with him. And so they made the drive over here to Denver for the series. He had a whole crew at this game, and it really meant something to him that they were all there to see him hit the home run. He's on this great streak here to start the second half of the year. I think the last thing he wanted to do was disrupt what he's got going on right now with any kind of extracurricular activity. So he was thrilled the way he's been playing, and certainly is not looking to stir anything up.
Yeah, he's having some road trip here. Also homering for the Nats on Monday night was Jacob Young. He is the Nats starting center fielder and number 6 batter, 3 for 4 with a solo homer and 2 singles. Did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base, but Young in the Nats 1-run 6, a leadoff first pitch homer to left field for a 4-3 Nats lead. That homer going a projected 437 feet per StatCast. Now, this was just Jacob Young's second home run since homering on May 25th. Remember when he was homering a bunch? He had cooled off considerably, but he does homer in this game. Dalen Lyle had the triple. He came off the bench to pinch hit, and DH went 1 for 2 with an RBI triple. Lyle in the Nats 1-run ninth had a 2-out RBI triple to the right center field gap on an 0-2 pitch for a 7-3 Nats lead. He's another guy who had cooled off. His OPS now is at 706. And the guy who remains hot, this guy has not cooled off to any extent, Curtis Mead. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 2 batter, 3 for 5 with a double and 2 singles. Did commit a fielding error, but his OPS now is at 870, 1 point lower than CJ Abrams, 871. Man, Curtis Mead, it gets overlooked, I feel like, somewhat, but he is really producing and has become, I think, pretty clearly one of the top 4 hitters on the Nats this season, maybe number 3. I mean, you could have an argument of him and Luis Garcia Jr. I mean, each guy has been really productive, but Mead lately has been so good.
Yeah, maybe even Mead's been more consistent. Garcia obviously took off over the last month or so. Mead hasn't hit the peaks that Garcia has, but has been a little more steady, and certainly in the clutch. We've talked about that a lot. Even if he doesn't start the game, he often comes in a big spot late and has come through for them so many times. It's been invaluable. And it's funny, in talking about Chaparro after the game, Blake Butera also talked about the comparison to Curtis Mead. When he first got here, it was, you're just going to play against lefties. You're probably not going to get much more than that. And Curtis said to him, well, how can I get more at-bats against righties? And Butera said, well, hit lefties even more and be so good against lefties that I'm forced to play you against righties. And that's what he did. And now he's in there most days. And so Chaparro, maybe a similar message. How does he get in there more? Keep mashing lefties the way that he now is, and maybe you get a chance to face some righties as well. I don't know if that's going to happen given that Luis Garcia is the other half of that platoon. But there's something to be said for make the most of the opportunities that you get, and more opportunities will come to you. Curtis Mead's the best example of that happening this year.
We, in this season of elite Nats offense, have seen some guys rise and fall, right? Like sometimes certain guys have been hot and then those guys have cooled off and maybe somebody else has gotten hot. With Curtis Mead, it's like we've all been kind of waiting for him to cool off, and it hasn't happened. And if anything, he's gotten better, but he has continued to produce. And, I think 2 months ago, we all would have presumed, okay, at some point, like the guy's going to fall off a little bit. That really has not happened. He has continued to be one of the best offensive players on this team.
And it's really plays into now as the Nats look as they move forward. Like, how does he fit into this? There's been a thought that, hey, he's been great, but he is maxing out right now. And maybe that means you look to sell high on him. There's also the argument that he's got like 4 more years of club control. Maybe he's not going to be your everyday third baseman and number 2 hitter on a pennant winner in a few years, but he could certainly be a big part of that team in some kind of role. And so maybe he is somebody that should be thought of as part of the long-term plan. I don't know if anybody really knows the answer to that. I just know that he has now shown him a body of work over, almost 4 months, and has consistently produced for them, has done all right in the field, but has been one of their most reliable hitters in big spots. And whether that means he's an everyday player for years to come or just a role player on this team, I do think there is a spot for him if they believe that he can be a part of this.
It's a tricky situation because this is only his age 25 season, so he's still young. He is under team control through the 2030 season, so he's under team control for years to come. But he at the major league level has never had a season like this. He was with the Tampa Bay Rays and Chicago White Sox prior to being with the Nats, played at the major league level over the 2023 through 2025 regular seasons, and just did not do much at all. And so it would be risky to say, okay, he's our third baseman moving forward, full stop, right? But he's been so good that, you say to yourself, like, do we ride with him at least going into next season and just kind of see what happens with Brady House? Do we view this as a fluke never to be duplicated again? Because again, what he's doing this season, he never came close to doing previously. And so I think that's a tricky deal. Like, how real is what he is doing this season? That's what Paul Taboni needs to try to figure out.
Perfectly valid to ask that question, and I don't know the answer to it. I'm not even sure that Taboni really knows the answer to it. I know it's not a perfect comparison, but I've thought about this. 2 players who started their careers elsewhere, didn't amount to a whole lot, and then they joined the Dodgers and became major regular contributors to World Series teams, and that's Max Muncy and Justin Turner. And I'm not saying that Curtis Mead's going to turn into either of those guys, but there is a little bit of a similarity in those situations that they didn't work out for whatever reason with previous teams, but there was always an ability there. They found the right team, the right spot, the right opportunity, and their careers took off to where they were major, major contributors for a bunch of years. Muncy is still there. It might be instructive to look at things like that, and I'm sure the Nats have all their own internal data that says whether they think this is sustainable or not. I would just hate for them to give up on him because they think, well, he's probably not going to do this forever. It's so hard to find good, consistently effective players who have club control for many years. You don't give that up unless you're really confident that they're not able to continue it, or you're getting something in return that's a slam dunk. And if that's not true, I think I'd stick with him.
The other thing, too, is what about Brady House? I mean, he has been in the minors for months now. No one's really talking about him. He's not coming up. It's possible he doesn't come back to the major league level this season. Now, he's not really performing poorly for AAA Rochester. His OPS, as we're recording this for Rochester this season, is at 821. But what is the organizational thinking on Brady House right now? I think that's a factor in the Curtis Mead conversation.
Of course. And I think right now the attitude is we got a good thing going on up here and Mead is more than contributing. We're not going to mess with that. Now, I suppose if House just went off at AAA, and he's had some big games, it's not like he's done nothing. Maybe they would say at some point, yeah, let's give this another shot. Or, of course, somebody gets hurt. Harry Ford that's kind of taken advantage of that opportunity now when Drew Millis got hurt. So maybe, but as things stand, I just don't think you mess with it. And you say, we're in a pennant race. Curtis Mead's a big contributor. We're going to finish this out. And Brady House, you keep doing your thing at AAA, and we will reevaluate this at the end. And if you had a good season and you made the improvements that we wanted from you, we'll give it another shot next year, and maybe you are a part of this. But I don't think they need to feel compelled. As long as they're in a race, I don't think they need to feel compelled to get him back up here and disrupt what they have going on, barring an injury or him just having a tremendous stretch down there that demands a promotion.
Al Galdi here to tell you about Window Nation. But before that, the Window Nation look into the future.
Hit on a line out to left field. It drops in for a base hit, chasing Hornung back to the fence. Lomavita rounding first as Hornung throws into second. It's cut off. Lomavita standing safely with a one-out double.
Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. If you're using chat to research your next home improvement project, forget the prompts. We've got all the details on a company that you can trust. For replacement windows and doors without the hassle, just look up Window Nation. Window Nation is the real deal. Homeowners across the country love the one-day installation process, especially since Window Nation installers leave your home cleaner than when they started. And this month, you can get 50% off all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 2 years. That's a lot of savings on top of quality windows and doors. 866-90NATION or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Window Nation, the real deal when it comes to replacement windows and doors. 866-90NATION, windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's odoo.com to learn more.
The 0-2, swinging a drive toward the gap in right center field. It's deep, chasing back Carrick on the go. It's over his head and off the wall. Karams toward right center field. That will allow Wood to round third, come home, racing for third, sliding in with a triple is Dalen Lyle. Nationals tack on a big insurance run here in the ninth. They lead it 7-3.
Well, we talked about the really nice work by the Nats bullpen in this win at the Rockies on Monday night. The Nats starting pitcher in the game was Andrew Alvarez. He allowed 3 runs in 4 into third innings. He gave up 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles, issued 3 walks, recorded just 2 strikeouts. He threw 74 pitches, 46 strikes, 28 balls, committed a throwing error, put a lot of guys on base. Now, he actually did a pretty good job of navigating his way out of trouble, but in the bottom of the third, allowed 3 runs on a double, 2 singles, and a walk. Gave up a 2-out first pitch. Opposite field, 3-run double by Willie Castro to right center field off the outfield wall to tie the game at 3. As we know, navigating your way out of trouble is nice, but all it takes is one pitch for multiple runs to score when you're constantly putting guys on base. And Alvarez is doing that. You look at his numbers at the major league level in this regular season here. 14 games, including 7 starts. His ERA is 4.22. His whip is at 1.50. That's a high whip. A lot of that is the walk. His walks per 9 innings is at 4.22. Overall, we've seen more good than bad from Alvarez, but we have seen him put some guys on base. Hard to live that way, and that got to him in this game on Monday night.
And usually when he gets in trouble, it's the walk that's done it. He doesn't give up a ton of hits or a ton of home runs, but he gets himself in trouble with free passes and high pitch counts and you name it. And that was the story of this game. And he got away with it in the first inning. He did not get away with it in the second inning. And I think it was telling that Blake Butera did not think he wanted to push that any further. By the time he got to the 5th and Hunter Goodman, the Rockies' best right-handed hitter, was up, he wasn't going to let Alvarez face him a third time. And that's when he went to Cornelio. I think Andrew Alvarez may be on a pretty short leash here. Jake Irvin made a rehab start on Sunday at Harrisburg and threw 4 1/3 scoreless innings. And more than that, the reports were very positive. Velocity was good. His shoulder felt good. Obviously, the results were good. Blake Butera said he thinks he's close. So probably need one more at least to build up a little bit more of the pitch count and all that. But we could be seeing Jake Irvin back up here in the next couple of weeks. And my guess right now, things can change. My guess right now is that he would take Alvarez's spot in the rotation, and Alvarez would kind of revert back to that bulk reliever role that he was in, whether it's following up Michaelis or Littell or however they want to use him. As it stands right now, I think that's where this would be going. And unless somebody else does something that requires them to leave the rotation, or unless Alvarez just has a phenomenal start next time out, I think Jake Irvin is coming for his job.
Well, especially with Brad Lord on the 15-day injured list, the Nats could use a reliable bulk arm in that bullpen, and Andrew Alvarez has shown himself to do well in that role. Now, speaking of Nats relievers on the 15-day IL, so big news on Sunday afternoon. We talked about this on the last installment of the podcast. The Nats on Sunday afternoon announced having put relief pitcher PJ Poulin on the 15-day injured list, retroactive to July 16th, due to a left flexor strain. And, that news hit on multiple levels. A, because Poulin has been a valuable reliever for the Nats this season. B, because you hear left flexor strain and your mind goes to all kinds of places, including the potential for that, meaning UCL surgery down the line. However, it sounds like we got a best case scenario in terms of news on what exactly Poulin is dealing with.
Yeah, he did get an MRI on Monday after he got to Denver, and the results of that showed just the flexor strain, nothing going on with the ligament. So that's a sigh of relief, and he admitted, you have a little bit of worry. You never know for sure. He says he's never dealt with an injury like this, so he didn't know exactly what it would feel like if it was something worse than that. Now, that said, he's still going to be out for a little while. It could be like 6 weeks before it comes back. So that's a significant loss for this team, and that's where like Cosgrove and Krook, if he is able to keep it up, could turn out to be very valuable for this team, with the guy who had been their best lefty now shelved for a while. It was interesting in talking to Poulin about this. He first noticed it in Boston, and that's 3 weeks ago now. He did not pitch in that series because they knew that he was dealing with something. Gave him a few days off, took some anti-inflammatory medication, felt better, came back and did pitch twice on that homestand and opened a game against the Yankees and did pretty well in that one. Went into the All-Star break, thought it was all past him. Then he gets to Sacramento, and before Friday's game, as he's playing catch to warm up, for possible usage later in the game, he said it happened again. He felt the discomfort in his elbow again, and he was like, I can't try to push through this. That is not a good idea. You can't just keep taking anti-inflammatories. That's not the long-term solution for anything. So he spoke up about it. That's why they put him on the IL. That's why they gave him the MRI. So it is a sigh of relief that it's nothing more serious than that, but he's going to be down for weeks. And they're going to have to find a way to fill that gap because, well, he certainly hasn't been super reliable. He's been more reliable than most of the other lefties they put out there this year.
Yeah, for sure. And, the Nats do have some injuries when it comes to these relievers, with Lord and Poulin on the 15-day IL and Richard Lovelady now on the 60-day injured list, and Mitchell Parker is on the 60-day injured list. Ken Waldachuk, if you want to go all the way back to him, he's on the 60-day injured list. We've talked about the struggles of the bullpen, and, maybe things get better. Something that I don't think any of us really accounted for is, well, what if the semi-reliable people who the Nats do have in that bullpen get injured? And seeing this with Lord, seeing this with Poulin is like, whoa, I didn't consider that possibility here, that when it comes to the bullpen, that could be something that needs to be navigated. Semi-reliable or even reliable guys going down to injury down the stretch of this season.
No, of course. And that's why I've been saying all along, even if Paul Taboni goes out and acquires a couple of experienced relievers at the deadline, that alone isn't going to be enough. The only way that this is going to be salvaged and that they can be good enough to lift this team to where it thinks it might get to at the end of the year is for multiple members of the bullpen who are already here to step up and become somewhat reliable, pitching alongside whoever they might pick up at the trade deadline. And so a Lord, a Poulin, a Rebalta, a Beater, whoever that might be, somebody, and more than one somebody, is going to have to emerge from this group. And so if you're now taking guys out for extended periods because of injuries, that's not going to help the cause. And because I think it puts more pressure on the remaining healthy holdovers for somebody out of that group to step up and show they can actually be a part of this.
Trevor Williams pitched for Single A Wilmington on Sunday. Brad Lord on Sunday through a bullpen session. Are we anywhere near either guy being back for the Nats?
In Williams' case, he's made several of these now, and so you would think he's getting closer. Now, the results were not as good for him as they were for Irvin, and he was pitching in single A ball. I'm sure they'll want another one from him, but eventually the time runs out on a rehab assignment, and they're going to have to make a decision with him. The fact that Lord's throwing off a mound, that's a good sign, and as a reliever, you don't have to build up quite as much. So the next step, and I don't know if he's ready for it yet or if he still needs to throw more off a mound, but the next thing to watch for with him would be facing some live hitters in a simulated game, something like that. If he can do that, maybe a quick rehab assignment, and he could be back. That is good news with Brad Lord. In Trevor Williams' case, good that he is pitching. Not so good that the results haven't necessarily been great, but that one's going to come to a head here relatively soon. They're going to have to decide what to do with him.
Yeah, Brad Lord on the 15-day IL due to left side tightness. He was placed on the injured list on July 9th, retroactive to July 6th. And with Trevor Williams, we just passed the 1-year mark of his UCL surgery. July 17th, 2025 was when he underwent an internal brace procedure to repair a partially torn UCL in his right elbow. This installment of Nat Chat brought to us by the nonprofit Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. Tired of paying $4 for a gallon of gas? CCAN Action Fund is raffling 3 amazing electric cars, including a Rivian SUV, as part of an annual fundraiser to fight for clean air in the DMV. The drawing is on July 30th, almost here. Tickets available at evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org. Game 2 for the Nats at the Rockies, Tuesday night at 8:40. The Nats have listed Miles Mikolas as their probable starting pitcher for the game. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
3-3 game. Jacob Young leads off the inning. It's a towering fly ball deep to left. McCarthy's back. You can't forget it. A deep home run to left field from Jacob Young, and the Nationals take the lead back 4-3.